Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the documents that inspired the Founding Fathers to write the Constitution in the way that they did. The Founding Fathers did not think of all of the ideas of the Constitution on their own. They were inspired by documents that were written way before the Constitution. So our big question today is, what inspired the Founding Fathers in writing the Constitution? Well, kind of just to talk about this word, the word inspiration or the word inspired. I want to first talk about that. So let me start by showing you some pictures of me in college. This is a great shot, obviously. Here's me playing some guitar, out in the snow with some friends, on the ski slopes, pretty steep slope. Me and Mrs. Klein's very first picture together. Me in Africa. Me and Mrs. Klein going to spring formal. Now, I wanted to show you all that because what I want to talk about was when I was in college, I studied something called graphic design. Graphic design is making designs with the computer. Whenever I was given a project in class that had to be completed for a grade, I would always go on websites like Pinterest or Google to get inspiration for what I wanted to design. I didn't copy people's designs from Google or from Pinterest. What I did was I just looked at other people's ideas and their creations so that it would really help me create my own and to help me be more in a creative space. And this is what we're talking about today with the Founding Fathers. What documents inspired them, got them in a creative place to write the Constitution in the way that they did. So, in the Philadelphia Convention or the Constitutional Convention, our big question is, what inspired the Founding Fathers in writing the Constitution? So the first document that we're going to look at that inspired the Founding Fathers in writing the Constitution was a document called the Magna Carta. Now this was written way back in the year 1215, which is about 550 years before the Constitution was even thought of. Now the Magna Carta, it was this document that was really written up by the wealthy people of England back in the year 1215. And what this document did was it forced the king to sign a contract promising that he would follow the laws like everybody else. Because before the Magna Carta, the king could do whatever he wanted. If he wanted your house, it was his. If he wanted you dead, you would be dead. They would kill you. He didn't have to follow any law like the regular people. So after time, the wealthy people of England, the normal people of England got mad at this and made him sign the document called the Magna Carta. Now, this inspired the Founding Fathers because they knew that the Constitution needed to limit the power of the national government, just like the Magna Carta limited the king. The three branches of government shouldn't be able to just do whatever they want. That's not fair, and the Founding Fathers didn't want another country like England. They wanted a government that was limited, just like the Magna Carta limited the king. Now, the second document that really inspired the Founding Fathers was called the English Bill of Rights. This was written in the year 1689. Now, the English Bill of Rights, it was a document that promised England's citizens that their rights would be protected. Now, it's pretty obvious how this inspired the Founding Fathers, especially the Anti-Federalists, because they knew England had a great idea with their Bill of Rights, and really the Anti-Federalists wanted the United States Bill of Rights so that our rights would be protected. So, in 1791, the first 10 amendments were added to the Constitution and is what is now called today our Bill of Rights. So, the English Bill of Rights, we kind of just copied that idea, and the Anti-Federalists demanded that it be put in the Constitution before they would ratify or accept the Constitution. So the English Bill of Rights directly influenced our Bill of Rights today. Document number 3 that inspired the Founding Fathers was the Mayflower Compact. Now we all know that this was written in 1620. We know that the Mayflower Compact was a document written by the Pilgrims, and what it was is they wrote out a contract that created the very first self-government in the colonies. This obviously inspired the Founding Fathers because the Founding Fathers knew it was important to create a government that had a plan. The government needs a plan to run and believed that all people deserved a voice in the government. So just like in the Magna Carta, they had a plan for government and everybody had a voice, so should the Constitution be as well. Document number 4 that inspired the Founding Fathers was the Federalist Papers. Now this was written in 1787, so the exact same year that the Constitution was written. And it was actually, the Federalist Papers were written after the Constitution was finished. And the purpose was that these papers were written by Alexander Hamilton, John Jay, and James Madison, the father of the Constitution. And the purpose was to convince people that the Constitution was awesome and should be ratified. So it was inspiring because it inspired people to accept the Constitution for the way that it was and ratify it so that it could be passed and accepted and be the plan for government. And to our last document that inspired the Founding Fathers. Document number 5 is the Anti-Federalist Papers. Now, these were written in 1787, the same year as the Federalist Papers. Now, the only difference is they had a totally different purpose. The Anti-Federalist Papers were written to convince people that they should not ratify the Constitution until a Bill of Rights was added. Now remember, the Bill of Rights are the very first 10 amendments, and an amendment is an add-on to the Constitution, because the Constitution is a living document that needs to change with the changing times of the United States. Well, it's very obvious how this inspired the Founding Fathers, because they knew they would need to amend the Constitution to add the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments, in order to make people happy enough with it to ratify it and accept it and make it our plan of government. So they added them in 1791. These are the 5 main documents that inspired the Founding Fathers to write the Constitution the way that it was. In review, remember, we have the Magna Carta, we have the English Bill of Rights, we have the Federalist Papers, the Anti-Federalist Papers, and the Mayflower Compact. Those are the 5 main documents that helped the Founding Fathers really get a good idea of how the Constitution should be written.